Alright, what's up? A lot of you guys asked me to review this video by Clavicular called My Message to Young Men. I haven't even watched 1 second of it. I have no idea what he's gonna say.
Hey, what's going on, people? I just want to come at you with a little bit of a raw, kind of talking style video, like my old stuff, because it feels like I really haven't been able to get as real with my viewers about shit in a little while. There's no chat to interrupt me. I'm just sitting in the car, kind of explaining a little bit about my philosophy on the black pill, because that's really important, is the why. Why are you doing these things? Why are you risking your health with anabolics? Why are you...
Obviously, to look better, or at least he believes that he will look better. And you want to do that because you want attention from people, and usually it's gonna be girls, of course. And the reason you do that, whether you realize it or not, is because you want to reproduce with the most attractive girl possible to have the strongest and healthiest offspring.
Dumping, all this money that you have into peptides and nootropics and this and that.
I will make a separate video about peptides, but peptides are a huge scam at best, but really they are actually really harmful for your health. So it's worse than a scam. It's not as if you're just wasting money on that and that's it. It's just neutral. It's actually really bad. It's completely fake, synthetic, made out of poisonous ingredients. Absolute garbage. But unfortunately, especially young guys nowadays fall for that just because of how disconnected from nature they are. They believe that there's some kind of way around nature.
And taking this risk and having the surgery planned. So that really needs to be explained and addressed, because I see a lot of craziness going around on the internet, right? It's like, wouldn't you rather just give something your fucking all in life? Okay, so when people come on and they say, oh, Clav, you're insane for getting surgery. You're insane for doing these
No, why would anybody say that? People nowadays do surgeries because they were malnourished as children or because of bad inheritance, which just means that your ancestors were not optimally healthy, didn't get the best food. Whatever the case, it all goes back to health and nature. And then with surgeries, you can try to fix it. Not really, but for your lifetime, it will give you the appearance as if you fixed it. Obviously, it's an illusion. But you could get a better mate that way, actually. And then if you're actually healthy, unfortunately, he's going against nature and he doesn't follow anything healthy, then you could improve the development, let's just say, of the next generation. You could have healthy and well-developed children. If you do surgeries and you keep eating garbage, it's still going to be worse for the next generation. So no matter what surgeries Clavicular will do, once he has children, they will look even worse than him, because he believes that you can somehow fix the problem with surgeries. No, it's like putting makeup on acne. The acne is still there, the problem is still there. If you won't fix your diet, then you're not fixing anything.
Bollocks. Well, at least in 5 years, whether I am a Frank Tufano botch job or the next Giga Chad, at least I could say that I gave...
That's the whole problem. You won't be a Giga Chad because what we see as a Giga Chad, Jesus, for example, the original one, was described as a Giga Chad. He was super tall and he was so good looking that it was almost impossible to paint him, draw him, just because his beauty was something that a human couldn't even really portray on a piece of paper or wherever. This is what he achieved through raw meat, not by being religious, seeing as he was the most anti-religious guy on earth, supposedly. Obviously all stories, but that's what the stories are based on. And my point is simply that you would have to completely go along with nature, or go together with nature, or however you want to call it, You just have to completely follow the natural path. What we see as beautiful girls and handsome guys, the models, actors, all of that comes from nature only. Sure, some of them, especially later on, get some kind of surgeries. Maybe they have some developmental issues. But generally, overall, we are just looking at nature and very healthy and well-nourished people. Even if it's only from the last generation or the last ones, they come from very healthy bloodlines. And that's why they may have some kind of issues now if they didn't eat optimally in their lifetime. But that's what they inherited. That's it. It's always nature. The very definition of a gigachad is just a human being who completely followed nature. And believing that you will get that through drugs and surgeries is delusional, to say the least, because in the end you will achieve the opposite. You're gonna look really old and sick, and that alone is gonna make you look unattractive. If Clavicular would do what he's doing for the next 5 years, in his mid-20s he's gonna look around the age of 40, and he's never gonna attract even anybody around his own age.
Something my all. While you sit there and type your comment on my Instagram reel from your shitty wage job, at least I tried. At least I dedicated myself to the craft and was willing to do whatever it takes, right? So I really...
Yeah, there's nothing wrong about that. It's just that you're going the completely wrong way. That's it. Maybe that's what people mean. I don't know what people comment on his Instagram. I didn't know that he has an Instagram. I've never watched this guy's videos besides the ones that I reviewed. I don't really know anything about him.
I really want to make this video before I go ahead and get this double jaw surgery, just to say that you guys have never done something.
Right, the double jaw surgery is a perfect example of what I meant. He can do that. He's gonna imitate different kind of development, a better nourishment essentially, a healthier body, and then if he has children, they will have the same problem as him, or probably even worse, because it will be the next generation. Therefore, getting the surgery for your lifetime may be good to give you the illusion that you develop better and then you could get a better mate. That's all good, as long as it's not risky, which in this case, do you want some metal inside of your body? That's gonna create its own problems, but that's a bit of a different topic. It's a deeper topic.
Hard in your entire life. You've never actually put in a second's effort. Now, I know I'm not the best looking guy, and sure, there's all these looks maxers that look a lot better than me, but what did they actually do? What did they actually accomplish? Because while you were out doing random bullshit in high school, I was sitting there on my computer dedicating myself, researching the best way to maximize myself. So it's not craziness. It is not...
Yeah, but it is kind of craziness. It's interesting also how this generation is so much different. When I grew up, nobody talked about looks. Just nobody at all. In my school, yeah, girls maybe a little bit here and there, of course, the way girls are, you know it. But guys, really there was nobody who ever talked about... Well, we talked about girls, how girls look like, obviously, when you hit puberty. But not about guys. We didn't rate each other. There was no such thing at all. At all. Yeah, just nothing whatsoever. There was not a thing. This is very different the way things are today. And it is kind of crazy to obsess over your looks that much. Wanting to look better, understandable. In the end, it comes naturally anyway. You come from a healthy bloodline, ideally, and if not, you eat as healthy as possible, and nature is gonna do everything. You eat raw organs, raw meat, and you go out into the sun a lot. That's gonna do 95% basically. Everything else is gonna be you trying to give yourself the appearance of being healthy. Obsessing over looks this much, it shows that you're very insecure. It shows that you really want attention, validation. It shows that you're not getting what you naturally want. And again, that's understandable. But there are no mirrors in nature. You cannot look at yourself basically at all. You can see a vague image of yourself in the water, and nobody would ever really do that anyway. We are kind of living the opposite way compared to the way we live in nature. We never see ourselves, and now young men are obsessed with the way they look like. It really is the opposite of a natural life.
Anything other than obsession and dedication. So that's what I'm going for here. I'm not going for, the normie bullshit lifestyle where you're sitting in a job that you hate with no girls that even want to look at you. I'm not interested in that. And if that requires a huge risk of, facial disformity from a surgery going wrong or some sort of health complications from, blasting anabolics, then so be it. Because the life that people are living in 2025 is absurd. It is egregious. Most people won't even have a girl look their direction for years, for months, right? 2/3 of men, 18.
It's interesting that he kind of realizes what's going on, but at the same time, he doesn't at all. He doesn't understand that people are as malnourished as never before, ever in our lives throughout history. It's never been this bad. Yeah, when it comes to the topic of jaws, just look at the jaws of people from 100 years ago. Look at photos and look at people now. That alone should tell you everything. Look at native Indians' old photos. It's insane. I have actually, in my whole lifetime, never seen such a well-developed face as you can see in the photos of native Indians who drank blood and ate organs all the time. They lived off of raw liver. They describe in their own words how children run up to animals and eat the raw liver. They loved it so much. That's why they looked so crazy good. Same with Eskimos, what I showed in my Blackpill video. That kind of a face, you don't even see that today, those kind of bones. And he doesn't really connect the dots.
To 21, haven't had sex in over a year. All right, this is insanity, right? The top 20% of men on Tinder are getting access to 80% of women. And you're talking about I'm the crazy one for wanting to do double jaw surgery? How about it's crazy how hypergamous women have become and how evil society is, right? And the answer to this is looks. The answer to this is the black pill. We see it all the time on social media. These giga chads coming on, they've got nothing to offer other than their looks. They post a video for 10 seconds. Boom, they're viral, they're famous, okay?
Yeah, but of course, because that's what women are attracted to. It's also the same the other way around. Of course, because you want, as I said, the best developed, healthiest possible offspring. That's what it's all about. Choosing the best possible mate for yourself. Yeah, of course, that's why they like them. Of course, you also watch people online for different reasons. You can watch somebody simply because of the information that they share and so on. But when it comes to simply looking at a photo of somebody, of course you will choose the best possible mate. Yeah, that's really what the black pill is all about at its core. Unfortunately, nowadays people twisted it, and now it's all about the magical genetic lottery, which nobody can explain because genes don't even exist. There is no such thing as DNA also, never been proven. I'll make a separate video about that eventually. And it's all about doing surgeries because you believe that it's all magical. When in reality, it's all food and it's all about what your ancestors ate. That's it. It's just all about food. The black pill is really completely all about food, nothing else.
This is the world. This is the way of the world. So you are absolutely insane for not doing everything in your power to ascend. It is on you. You have to do it now because plastic surgery.
Right, but you wouldn't actually be ascending. You would be covering up the symptoms, essentially. In your case, it's a symptom of being malnourished. That's it. You're not as developed as you wanted to be, so you will try to fix it. But you won't, of course, because the problem stays the same. As I said, it's like putting makeup over your pimples. The problem is still there.
Looks maxing. It is becoming more and more mainstream. And before you know it, every one of your peers around you is going to...
Yeah, and again, you gotta wonder, why is it so popular now? Why didn't people deal with these issues in the past? Number one, because they didn't have these issues. Look at any photos or videos from the 50s and 60s, how men used to look like, how they developed. And secondly, because people are even more obsessed at looking in the mirror with social media. You have the camera on your phone in the front. You see yourself, TikTok and whatever.
surpass you. So you have to start now, not tomorrow, not the next day, now. Start blasting those steroids and stop asking,
Oh my God, man. Start blasting those steroids. Now, what kind of an advice is this, man? He's saying that you should start using drugs. Also, what most people don't realize is that testosterone as such, the hormone, has never been isolated. Of course, we know that men and women develop differently, obviously, because of what's going on inside of the body biochemically. When you take steroids, steroid hormones, tren also, that's something else, but whatever kind of drugs, you are simply taking experimental drugs made in a laboratory, and it has nothing to do with testosterone as such, because testosterone has never actually been isolated, as I said. You are simply taking drugs which they tried over and over again on different animals, and then they saw that their muscles grow. They don't actually really grow. You can argue about that, but they fill up with water a lot. You become swole, as they say. This is really what's going on when you take these experimental drugs. My point is simply that you should not believe that you're taking testosterone when you're using steroids. You're taking drugs which are toxic and lethal at a certain dose. That's why they age you and really make you look like something close to a meth addict, because it is absolutely experimental drugs. You really need to understand that when you're taking steroids, you are not taking testosterone. Not at all, because testosterone in itself has never been isolated. As such, we have never actually observed testosterone. That really has to be very clear.
what could happen if I hop on steroids? What could happen if I get that surgery? And ask yourself, what could you miss out on? What kind of love, what kind of salary, what type of every single type of improvement possible in your life could you be missing out on, right? So that's kind of why you just have to dedicate yourself fully. It's not a matter of, if, it is a matter of when you want your life to start improving, because there is no question. If you improve your looks, you improve every metric of your life. So it is an imperative that you guys start doing this shit. I'm not the crazy one. You guys are going to look back on me telling you this shit, and 5 years from now, when everyone has double jaw surgery, everyone has full facial implants, mogging you, and you're going to say, wow, that Clav guy, he really was right about this shit. How crazy the world is. As more and more of these data...
Oh man, he's gonna have a really bad awakening, but he's too deep into it. I don't want to say that he's too young, because age doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that, although it does a little bit, but yeah, I don't want to talk down on him just because he's younger. You could understand a lot at that age, but yeah, he is naive, unfortunately, and he just won't get it until he experiences the side effects. Hopefully it won't be too late, and that's all that we can hope for. Yeah, it will be a very bad awakening after a few years at most, maybe sooner.
Statistics come out as more and more of you experience real black pills throughout your interactions in real life. You're going to realize how right I was about this shit. And it's becoming more and more in your face every single day with social media, with hypergamy. So the fact that you guys are, more eager to ascend, more eager to change your lives is shameful. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? You should be on your computer for hours researching, creating yourself a regimen. How can I ascend? What can I do? Not worried about what kind of side effects could I get from this? What could go wrong? How about what could go right? For once in your life, just take your risk and dedicate yourself to something.
Nah, you shouldn't do that at all. You should firstly just chill, relax, go out into the sun, eat a organs, some fruits also for hydration, and firstly just become healthy, because I'll make a separate video about this, but when people become healthy, they become sometimes a lot better looking, at the very least a little bit, depending on how unhealthy you were before. Health really changes your looks, sometimes really insanely much. And then, if you want to improve some things here and there, if you're older already and you cannot change much anyway, yes, and some surgeries may also be fine for your lifetime, as I said, to get a better partner and to then have healthy children who won't suffer from the same issues anymore. But he's saying have surgeries, then I don't know what he really wants to do with the girls. I don't even think that he understands why he wants to have a girlfriend. And then just go on like that, living your life. It's going to be an empty life anyway. Whatever.
Okay? Because you are going to look back on your life if you are not attractive and think, wow, I really ruined everything. I really screwed this up by not improving myself, right? So get your ass on a cycle. Get your ass to an imaging center. Get your head scanned. Everything you need to do to Looksmax. Do your research. Do everything.
I also don't understand how getting on a cycle would help you to look better. Show me one bodybuilder or anybody who's on any kind of drugs, toxic experimental drugs, who looks better. I don't know of one example. How could you look better when going against nature and taking toxic drugs? I don't get it. You're getting sick. How can you look better when you're getting sick? Those drugs are made with very toxic chemicals. And yes, they try to filter them out, but you cannot filter out everything.
Every little thing imaginable to improve your life. And you will start having everything go right for you just immediately, right? You're going to start getting promotions. Girls are going to start coming up to you. But I understand fully that not everyone will have the same. It's not a level playing field, and it never will be. But if you could just start now, you will have that much more of an advantage than anyone else. It doesn't matter where you are, where you're starting. You can still surpass the majority of the population, but it has to be now. Start Looksmaxing, right? Because this shit really, we're watching it unfold right before our eyes. It is becoming more and more mainstream. We've got single moms sitting in their cars, just like I am right now, promoting Ozempic, right? Everyone is about to be 10% body fat with hollow cheeks. You're about to see the biggest reverse in obesity statistics.
Is he saying that Ozempic is good or bad? I couldn't even understand because he promotes drugs anyway. Who knows?
In history that we never thought was possible without the conception of GLP-1s. So enjoy these last 5 to 10 years of slaying while you can with being lean, right? While you have that advantage over other people, because it's about to go away. The playing field is about to completely change, right? As this stuff becomes more and more widespread. This knowledge of Looksmaxing, this knowledge of aesthetics, right now, the people that are watching this have a very unique opportunity. You have an advantage over a lot of people and you don't even realize it. But that advantage is slow.
No matter what surgeries you do, no matter what drugs you take, you are gonna have also a lot of people now growing up on raw meat. This movement is it's growing, that's for sure. A lot of young people are getting into it, girls and guys. Those guys are gonna mug all of them. Absolutely. It's not even going to be comparable. It's not even going to be funny how much better they are going to look. Yeah. Will be interesting, that's for sure.
Fully escaping your grasp, right? You're letting it slip out from your fingers by not taking action. So back in 2024, when I was working my ass off up until earlier this year at a wage cut job, you know, working as a server, shit job, shit hours, working 18 hours. All I was thinking to myself was, hey, this, you know, I wasn't thinking how much this sucks, how much I hate my life having to wage slave and all this bullshit. I was thinking, hey, now I'm however much money I made that day closer to fixing my life, to ascending. I wasn't sitting there complaining. I was sitting there imagining what is going to happen after I ascend. And that's exactly how you should be thinking about your life, is when are you going to ascend? What needs to be done to ascend, right? You've got horrible cystic acne and you're sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I do the carnivore diet. No, you need to fix your acne immediately. You need to fix your acne yesterday. You need to get yourself pharmaceutical Accutane.
Again, drugs, Accutane, it's insanely poisonous. People get terrible side effects. Actually, oftentimes also worse skin, but even if not, then really bad depression, pain all over the body, really strange symptoms just because you're taking, again, an experimental drug. You want to fix your acne? Easy. Within a few days, maximum 1 week. Simply eat naturally. That's it. Simply eat raw meat, not only muscle meat. You won't get acne from muscle meat, obviously, but if you want to be optimally healthy, and if you're young enough to develop still, if you want to develop as good as possible, you're going to have to be eating organs. Yeah, some fruits you can also eat as long as they are not sprayed. Sprayed fruits can also cause acne. And otherwise, maybe some honey, but you gotta get good quality honey. I'm not a fan of honey, but if you like it, that's about it. Really just eat naturally. Ideally avoid dairy or eat some clean dairy. If you have milk from healthy cows, it's fine, but usually dairy is also going to be a problem, seeing as it's not what we are naturally supposed to eat. That's it. Yeah, just eat naturally. You're going to feel super good also. There's only benefits to eating naturally, obviously, because it's nature. And nature is the peak of health, development, and everything. And he believes that he can get around it by using drugs. Eat garbage, get acne, literally pus coming out of your pores, red inflamed skin. But instead of fixing it naturally, fixing the actual cause, you try to cover up the symptom. That's what he's all about, covering up the symptom of the problem instead of simply dealing with the problem.
Stop with the copes. Don't tell me that it's going to dry out your lips and make your
Oh yeah, another side effect, it dries out the skin really badly.
Joint sore. Tell me that you're going to get rid of your acne, okay? I'm tired of these people, fear-mongering, all this shit, when they should be fear-mongering the consequences of not looking good. It is horrible. Kids are getting bullied every day. We're seeing more and more videos of kids crying because they're getting bullied in school. Should you tell that kid, oh, he's just got to wait until puberty's over, then his acne will go away? No, you should be telling that kid exactly how to fix his acne yesterday, today. It's ridiculous. The consequences of not looking good will always surpass the side effects or the risk profile of any of the shit that I'm talking about. Always. Because I can tell you, when you are not your life is I've experienced it. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it that are watching this right now. And then when you start to get a little bit of good looks, everything changes. It's like a switch flips in your life. It's like you're living an entire new, universe. You're living in a new universe overnight if you ascend. So
he's not that wrong about it. It's just that it's not the way to do it. That's it.
So it makes no sense, all this fear-mongering, all this shit, okay? So even if everything goes wrong for me, use me as an example. At least I gave something my all. At least I tried to fix this fucked up situation that is the society in 2025, because it is crazy out there. You guys know it. You're learning more and more through your real world interactions. Do something about it. Start looks maxing.
All right, that was a very passionate video, especially at the end. As I said, it's not as if he's completely wrong. If you become healthier and if you develop really well, especially during puberty, but also before, if you're breastfed also for a long time, that's also very important. Of course, your life will obviously go a lot smoother, to say the least. Of course. Because as I said, you will automatically be more attractive to women, obviously, anyway, but in a way also to men. Not in that way, but in the way that he meant it, that you will get a better job or a better position in the job that you have. You will be able to climb the so-called career ladder, which is nonsense, obviously, because money doesn't exist and you shouldn't focus on that. If you can get rich really quickly, it's going to be easier in the system, has nothing to do with nature. It's not going to make you happy as such, only indirectly, because then you could buy good food and live a more comfortable life. In the slave system, of course, yeah, it's good to ascend, as he says, even as a slave. It's still going to be a slave life, but a better slave life. It's still going to be better, because if you're going to be enslaved anyway, you might as well live a better slave life. So overall, it's not even really that wrong. What he's wrong about is how to get there. As I said, nothing against surgeries as such, as long as you do surgeries which don't really have much of an impact on your health. You should avoid having any kind of toxic metals in your body, avoid using any kind of toxic drugs. Simply do it as naturally as possible, and if you're already in your 20s or 30s, you can do some kind of surgeries which are not that invasive, which have little to no risks, not some leg lengthening surgeries or anything like that. Just don't do it. And then you're gonna become healthier and healthier if you eat naturally, and that's really what's gonna level you up. Maybe the most, depends. It's gonna be different for each individual. Yeah, and if you want to have healthy children who are well developed, it's the only way anyway. What are you gonna do? Feed them formula? And when they are super underdeveloped, try to pay for their surgeries, get them on acute, and it's never gonna work. What does he even imagine? How is this the future? How is this gonna help the future generations? Do you not understand that people are gonna be so severely malnourished and underdeveloped that not even any surgeries are gonna help? At some point, even the surgeries are not gonna level you up or ascend you to a point where you're even gonna look normal. That's how bad it's gonna be if this is your conclusion. No, you need to get the best out of your looks in this lifetime, and some surgeries may be fine in specific cases, and then get the best mate possible, because she will see you as more attractive, of course, but you also need to look healthy, and then together with the mate, you have the best possible children. And then you make the best out of your children, which are just mini versions of yourself. That's the way to do it. It's not about getting girls by having one-night stands and slaying and everything like that. What's the point of that? Then you're just an enslaved animal who has a... I shouldn't say that on YouTube. Who uses a so-called protection. You're protecting against what? Against the whole reason you did all the looks maxing. You do all of it to attract a mate. You want to attract a mate to reproduce. You want your reproductive organs to interact. You only do that to reproduce and to have the best possible offspring. If you eat garbage and you have surgeries and she also eats garbage, she probably won't even be able to breastfeed the children. They will be on formula and they will look even worse than both of you. What's the point of any of that? It makes no sense. Thanks for watching.